The NFA is the showcase of what self-regulatory world can do if it wants to. And that showcase was built on integrity. That's the NFA, and that's their reputation. Without integrity, we have nothing.
It's a unique organization. It's overseen by the CFTC, but the CFTC is also our regulatory partner in regulating the industry. But it also has a great public interest dimension to it, too.
And with the increased authorities and responsibilities we received in the Dodd-Frank Act, the NFA has proven to be such a remarkable partner, and I think that's how we see them.
And it took a number of years, but it was a huge lift. It required onboarding new staff with different expertise, and we're really seeing the benefits of that effort right now.
It's hard to overstate the importance of NFA to the derivatives industry. Number one, the derivatives industry itself is vital to the economy.
They certainly bear on what the prices at the supermarket may be, what you might pay for your mortgage, and what it costs to fill up your gas tank, for example.
Companies all around the globe need to use these markets in order to manage their costs. So those costs are the costs that then get passed down to the consumer. And so how these markets work, and if these markets are being manipulated in any way, or if people don't have public confidence in how these markets work, they aren't going to work.
Our mission has actually been in place for our entire history, going all the way back to day one in 1982. NFA is the industry-wide self-regulatory organization for the U.S. derivatives industry, providing innovative and effective regulatory programs. NFA strives every day to safeguard the integrity of the derivatives markets, protect investors, and ensure members meet their regulatory responsibilities. The mission is so important because it tells everyone, internally and externally, what we do, what we're all about, what makes us tick. And so I believe, and NFA believes, that it's crucial that everyone know that mission and that we make sure we stay true to it.
And throughout the years, it has held true to that standard that self-regulation is important, that clarity in rules are important, that enforcement is important, and that the industry can do this on its own. It's important that our community comes together to police its markets and make sure that we have integrity, that we have thriving markets without fraud and abuse. And NFA has been the central actor in that mission over the years.
The NFA came out of what is known as Title III within the act that created the CFTC. It gave us, the industry, the right to have a self-regulatory institution that would take on some of the burdens that the CFTC itself would have to undertake.
Our first CEO was Bob Wilmoth, Robert Wilmoth. He was brought over from the Chicago Board of Trade to head up this new organization 40 years ago.
He so much believed in what I was doing. I mean, he said this is the only way the industry will take care of itself and not cost the government any money. And actually, he had the credentials that I wanted. He was a banker, and he knew how to follow rules. He knew how to create the rules. It was exactly the right person for what I wanted in a CEO in the creation, which was truly a different thing.
Everything we were doing for the first time, which makes everything sort of exhilarating and kind of exciting, because you can't just say, well, let's drag out the form and do this the way we did it last time, because there was no last time.
Bob Wilmoth built the structure on which everything the NFA is today was built.
The key was to get as much input from as many people as you can, and after time, a consensus emerges. When you're dealing with no roadmap and you're making it up as you go along, you try to make sure that you're dealing with people that you trust and know.
As an SRO, we are driven by our members. We have 3,200 member firms today. Our member firms are the lifeblood of the organization. Certainly there are mandates that require our members to be part of NFA, and so we're a unique membership organization. In order to participate in the derivatives business, you have to be generally a member of NFA.
Sound regulation creates confidence, which creates liquid markets, which makes the markets efficient and effective and a boon to the U.S. economy.
One of the main successes or drivers of our success here has been our board, which is extremely supportive of our mission, but also of staff here.
It's the people that work here collectively that create the culture. And over time, it's been a culture which cares about getting the job done well and taking a lot of pride in our work. It's a culture that really focuses on the people that we work with and caring about them.
We have 500 or so employees currently on staff here. They are intelligent and dedicated and just extremely motivated by NFA's mission.
At the heart of a lot of the rules that we've set forth for our members is a concern for the investor. Really, we want to ensure that investors can feel confident when they participate in the derivatives markets, and we feel very strongly that we're a key part of ensuring that that happens.
Customer protection is at the heart of what we do. Detecting and combating fraud is central to our regulatory mission.
NFA's greatest accomplishment over its existence has been its formation and its ability to really stick to the mission of self-regulation. Somebody that punches above its weight.
I've always been really impressed with the skill, the expertise of NFA staff, and in my mind, without question, they hit the mark all the time.
How we've actually been able to do that, I think, is with sensible regulation, enforcement, but more importantly, education.
Education is really a critical piece of NFA's mission. Our mission states that we want to ensure that our members understand their regulatory responsibilities and make education of our members a really high priority.
And our members can be global, multinational organizations to entrepreneurs.
When we do seek to educate our members on the rules that they're required to follow, we think about that wide span, the range of different kinds of firms that need to adhere to the rules, and try to tailor our education so that it does help all of these different kinds of firms understand what we're asking them to do.
We also listen to what they have to say. We have advisory committees for all categories where they provide feedback about rules and regulations that we will put in place.
We do town halls, we do webinars, we do in-person workshops. We'll go to Chicago, we'll go to New York, sometimes we even go to London, just to meet those firms where they are and ensure that we can have those face-to-face conversations and answer the questions.
And it's a mission that the staff of NFA can be very proud of. You know, the fact that they are helping to make sure our markets are being run fairly, that prices are being discovered for any Main Street business to utilize, the fact that people can hedge risk in our markets and help prevent volatility in prices.
I just frankly don't think that we could have successfully implemented all of our new responsibilities relative to swaps, and particularly swap dealers, without the help from the NFA with regard to very technical work that we needed help with, such as reviewing capital models and approving new margin models for these swap dealers, and also conducting the examinations that are really critical to us ensuring that folks are complying in the new regulations that we establish.
They're the boots on the ground. They're the organization that touches customers and touches individuals on a level that we can't at the CFTC.
We can leverage the limited taxpayer dollars we're given at the CFTC by working with the NFA with their industry-funded regulatory oversight, such that Congress now, I think, is happy with the way we have made an efficient process of commission oversight of a self-regulatory organization, and really improved and focused on the markets and the adaptations that needed to be done.
I've been here for decades, and one of the things that I've seen as a regulator is that we need to be just as innovative as the markets.
The industry definitely moves at a rapid pace. One thing that NFA excels at is the ability to adapt.
It's able to pivot. It's able to withstand changes and demands and stay ahead of the game.
Over the last 40 years, various things have popped up that NFA hadn't necessarily seen before and hadn't had to regulate. It was our job to figure out how to do that and really build from scratch a regulatory framework.
I think the biggest evolution was probably, post-2000 with the retail FX, retail Forex, which was an unregulated industry. Congress, and again the CFTC and NFA, created a regulatory framework to address and provide effective oversight for retail FX.
We created an SRO when we were formed back in 1982, and then also after the passage of Dodd-Frank, when we took on additional responsibilities for overseeing swap dealers. That industry was not regulated at the time, so we had to put a framework around the banks that fit their model. And also, we spent a lot of time educating ourselves on how the banks operated in the swap industry. We didn't make assumptions, we learned before we actually applied the rules and regulations that we currently have in place.
The regulations were written by the CFTC in the mold of existing regulations, so there was some familiarity and some expertise and experience to lean on. But it was still going to be an enormous undertaking for a segment of members that had never been subject to financial or capital regulations before.
We built rules to account for these products, and really, I see us doing more of that in the future.
Obviously, crypto is nothing new now, but there was a time where it was new, and we were out front trying to understand how this would impact customers, where this would go with our member firms, and it's still evolving. It's going to evolve for a very long time.
I work with a lot of really smart, really talented people, and I know when a problem comes up that we need to solve, I can go to my colleagues, and together we can come up with a solution to that.
NFA has always been there for our industry to problem solve, to innovate, and make sure that the important mission of self-regulation is there to keep our markets free of fraud, manipulation, and of the highest integrity that we need.
The primary reason why NFA is successful is the people. I really do believe the people are what make this place special.
We have the best employees.
I mean, we have so many people, they're so knowledgeable and are so willing to share.
I find people to be very humble, even though they're very accomplished.
I've been here 40 years, and when I first started, I think there were probably less than 50 people. And now, as you know, there's over 500 people.
The staff that we hire are of high quality. There's a lot of camaraderie there between the staff, and that's probably why I've been here for so long.
When I interviewed here at NFA, I was very struck by the personable people here. They were interested in what I was doing. And then once I started here, they always gave me opportunities.
I always like to say that NFA is like my second family. From the moment that I stepped in for my in-person interview a few years ago, I felt very welcomed. I felt like I belonged here.
The work that we do is based on the people that are doing the work. If we don't take care of the people that are doing the work, then we're not successful in what we do.
People talk about work-life balance, but then you get somewhere and it's really not the case. But for me, it has been the case in the 20+ years I've worked here.
NFA has always been there to help and support employees, even when they're going through their challenges. And this is really a terrific place to work.
We're very collaborative as a group. You can walk into any senior member's office and have a real conversation with them where you can tell that they actually want to talk to you.
We have a great team, and NFA really has a lot of internal training.
We are bringing in more technology. Right now, there is no end to what I can learn.
I also think for the younger people, they get a lot of opportunities early in their career here. They can learn a lot. They have a very detailed training program, and they get out there right away, talking to members, doing the type of work that we do.
I have been very lucky to work at a company like NFA at such a young age, because I'm at a company that I'm constantly encouraged to ask questions, and we have so many great resources and people at this company that know so much.
We also want to make sure we're a very diverse organization within the communities that we live. So we have to tap into multiple resources to try to find good qualified candidates. They're up for doing this job.
When we talk about diversity, we don't necessarily mean a particular group or particular gender or religion or culture. It's really all of it. The idea is to make it so that people can feel like they can be themselves. And the idea is to give them that outlet to express themselves, to be a little bit different where they choose to be, and be accepting of the different ideas that come our way, regardless of how it comes and regardless of who that person actually is.
We want people to come to work at NFA and feel included.
I was the first Greenwood Project intern to come into NFA. Unlike other internships, I was doing this work of a staff, so I got a lot of experience that summer, and then I decided to come to NFA full time. When you have diverse people in the office or in the industry, it helps you learn. They have different ways of learning, different ways of thinking that someone may not necessarily have that normally has access to the industry. So I think the Greenwood Project is important because not only does it help these companies by bringing in a unique thought process from these students, but it also helps these students grow.
NFA has been shaped by the culture that has emerged here, and that culture has been shaped by the people that work here.
I'm really proud and humbled to have personal relationships with many folks at the NFA, and that makes our job easier when we know we can trust them, work with them, and fulfill our responsibilities respectively both at the CFTC and the NFA.
The one thing for sure that's a guarantee over the next 40 years at NFA is that technology is going to drive what we do.
Right now, the topic on everyone's mind is virtual currency, and right behind that is retail. Both of those things in the coming years, I think, are going to become really critical to what we do here.
Everything's based on technology right now. So in terms of, I mentioned blockchain, I mentioned AI, machine learning. Those kinds of things are things we need to incorporate in our risk system and a risk analysis system. And also when we're actually in the field visiting our members, making sure we have the right software, the right tools to do our investigative work.
I'm really excited about the future of NFA. In the past, obviously, the industry has evolved. I know that that will not change going forward. Change will come, and knowing my talented colleagues, I have no doubt that we'll be able to come up with innovative regulatory solutions to handle those changes.
We have to learn and adapt to the new innovations.
I think what will guide NFA going forward is really the same thing that's guided it over the last 40 years. Our mission is at the heart of everything that we do, and I don't see that changing.
And I have no doubt, given our track record for tackling listed derivatives regulation and Forex and OTC derivatives and our market regulation area, that success will continue in the future.